For globalbooknetwork.tv, I'm Zach Feldman. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Global Book Network's YouTube channel and on globalbooknetwork.tv, where we talk about all different authors. And joining us over the phone, we have a children's author. She has a new book out called Tommy Meets the Moon. It is Suzannah Tulloch-Facer. Suzannah, thanks so much for joining me here on Global Book Network. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on. Well, I'm so excited to talk about Tommy Meets the Moon. But for those who don't know about it, what is it all about?
It's about a young 6-year-old boy who is fascinated with the moon, and every night he looks out the window just to see what shape might come in at that time. And this particular night, he gets really annoyed that he doesn't know what's going on because sometimes the moon doesn't appear at all. So he goes to sleep and dreams about all the different shapes and how the moon actually grows. And in that case, all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, a glow comes through his window, and it's a beautiful star that has come to take him to someone who can actually explain to him how the moon grows. So he goes up with this beautiful ally of the star and actually meets with the moon. And he starts to talk about his ideas of how he thinks the moon grows while the moon listens. And so towards the end, it's all about he's getting quite concerned. But what happens, when you disappear? Do you forget to eat?
Hmm.
And he says no. So there's a bit of a giggle between them both. And then he says, yes, but, where are you when you disappear? So he says, well, when someone is sad at school and you go and cuddle them and say, you okay? It's exactly that. You bring the light to that child. It's the same as how much sun wants to share with me to make me shine so you can see me. So remember, if ever you can't see me, all you need to do is turn on your heart light and we'll always be connected.
That's a beautiful message. It really is, and it's such a beautiful message to send to kids too.
Mm.
You've been in education, for such a long time. Tell me about kind of switching over to becoming an author now.
Mm.
How was that transition like?
Okay, so if I go back to the beginning, as a little child, I always used to love writing books for children, and I'd sit them down on their seats while they were eating their lunch, and and then I thought I just had such a passion for it, something that I could do to help children. And my mother said to me, now, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, gee, Mum, and I must have been about 7 or 8. I just want to be of service to people. I want to see children smile. I want to see people smile and not hurt one another. So she said, oh, don't be stupid. and, and I said, no, I really do. I really want to see that. And she said, well, no, your sister's going to be this. And come on, tell me what you want to do. And she never got any further with it. And so I got the opportunity. I used to go to dancing classes. And the boss came to me one day, or the director of the academy, and he said, would you like to come dance? Would you like to come and teach for me? And I said, yeah, sure. So I taught all the little children from about 2, 2.5, all the way up to adults. And so I got a really good training in that for 2 or 3 years. And then I decided to start my own academy. So I'm originally from Melbourne in Victoria, in Australia. So I had this beautiful studio built underneath the house. And every year for 15 years, I created an annual concert for the children. So the reason why I opened it was just to be with the children and really lift them. So I would sit
That's
in a
incredible.
dark corner. Yeah, I'd sit in a dark corner of the studio and I would start with the first piece of music. I'd close my eyes and I would listen. And the night before, I got the dream of the theme. There was always a theme so that people, the children could really learn what I was giving them, not just steps. So then I would get up and dance it, and then the second one. And each day I would go down there and do a different routine until I got to 50 routines. If I knew that I was going to be 50 routines, I don't think I would have started it. But you start one at a time,
Was that too
because
many
I was the
routines for
only
you?
one taking all the
Was
classes.
that too many routines at all?
And there were solo routines, but I was the only one teaching all these classes, about 20 classes a week, and I danced all of them, as well as create all of this. And I had a health shop, so I was also in there looking after that, looking after this, and then I went into alternative therapies, of which now I'm an alternative practitioner, and with many therapies under my belt with diplomas
Yeah,
and
I mean,
different things.
you've also been in the mind, body, and spirit for over 30 years too. Just like in that spiritual realm. Tell us about kind of like the spiritualness, I guess, of the moon itself too, because I think there's like there's a good correlation between the two, right?
Yes. Yes, well, the moon is actually the feminine energy. So that's why it works in with the women's menses, their periods and so on. And it works with manifestation and whatever you want, then you create that by just not asking so much, but just having faith and knowing that with gratitude and thanks, that whatever you ask for, it's already coming towards you. So rather than keep asking, I want this, it is more about having faith in the universe. So it's about source. And when I work with people in an alternative way, one of the main things I do is theta healing. So that's about changing programs on the DNA level. So you can change it within seconds. If you can actually see, so I can see inside a body, I can see there the auric field, I can see entities that might be attached that may be creating a problem with their physical body. All pain begins with emotion. So I have to go back and find out where that is. And it can be over 4 different levels of a core belief from parents. It can be ancestral belief. It can be past lives. So I go back there too, or a soul level. So I check out which one it is and then change those programs. Something simple like self-esteem issues where children don't love themselves or they hate themselves. I then think, okay, where did that come from? Oh, way back when you were about 3 or whatever and you got into trouble and then you thought no one loved you anymore. So things like that, it's really, really strong and very powerful, but very subtle. And it can be changed in 30 seconds. And then after that, if it goes further, I've got to go back to a past life and see what was going on there. If they have a pain, I'll say, okay, let's find out where the pain comes from when you were this age or a past life. As soon as I remove it, I then say, how's your pain? It's gone.
Wow, that's
So
crazy.
that's what it's like before I even get them on the table because I massage as well. So, but this is it's energy and frequency. I have crystal bowls, so I use the frequency and beautiful tuning forks and so on. Yeah, I have many things in my healing clinic.
That's
It's
amazing.
spiritual, very spiritual.
Very spiritual, seriously, and and not only that too, this book is also spiritual too, and the fact that we're encompassed by the moon, and we want to make sure that the moon is always following us, and it's our guiding light in a sense. When you created the character Tommy, I want to ask you too, was it based off of anything, or was that just the name you thought of?
I think I was always fascinated with the moon. And I was a bit of a loner. I would sit, alone on my own outside with my dog, or, just being quiet and just dreaming. I was a real dreamer, and I would just stare out the window, and all of a sudden, I'd get an idea. Or if I saw a plant, or if I saw a cloud, I would always see the face in the cloud, or the animal, or whatever it was. I could make a story out of anything. It was just one of those things. Even was it? I think there was one that I did where the toys were hung up on the line to dry because the mother, washed the toys, and one was hanging up by an arm, just hanging there, and another was caught up by the hair, another one by the foot, and that started complaining and said, "Well, what are you worried about? I've got to hang like this for the rest." So yeah, just little things like that that always found the lightness in things, and we're just always playing, and I didn't want to have anything serious because it was all a matter of with this little child looking out the window. If, say, the mother and father had an argument and sent the child to their room, and I used to get sent to my room a lot, I'd just pick up my book and read, or I would just look out the window. And it was just like, this is my friend. Where's my friend? It's not there today. So there was this little child, but, where's the stars? I can't see them either. And then when it wasn't there at all, well, I don't know where you are, but you better start eating.
Yeah.
So,
But Tommy wasn't like part of any it wasn't anybody you knew.
no,
No.
no, it wasn't. Oh, it's
Yeah.
amazing. I just think my love of the moon and love of nature and always being outside and being with my dog and looking up at the moon or the stars, that was always fascinating for me.
That's amazing. That's really cool. What advice do you have for any parents out there who want to, connect nature more with their kid?
Yeah, well, that's the thing with technology. I believe that it numbs the child's imagination. And I think it's important that they move away from it, a little bit, so that they get back into nature and they ground themselves again. Take their shoes and socks off, just like we used to play in the garden, rather than, wrapping themselves up and cotton wooling them.
Mhm.
Let them be a child, let them play and let them imagine, because, this is where miracles come from. Just allow your imagination, allow your dream to come to the fore, and you never know what can happen. If you want to dream something, then it doesn't mean you won't get it, but just dream. You never know what could happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree, and
Yeah.
that's really, really, really cool too. Before you go, I want to ask you too about your musical theater career. What was your favorite role that you've ever been in?
Sorry, what was the first bit? That
For
one?
your musical theater career, what was your favorite role that you've ever played?
Oh, I I remember a funny one. I just can't remember what the name was that they called me. But anyway, I was dancing or I was singing. It was in South Pacific on the stage, and we had to dance and really put everything into it. And I always sort of went over that. So they called it something in the American. It's an American word. Anyway, I got the award for the best whatever it was, and I thought, oh, I've done something wrong, but it was I was over doing something, and they called it a name, and I can't remember what it is. But anyway, that was one of the things. I just thought that was funny because I had no idea what they were saying to me and what I'd done. I thought I'd done something wrong, but the whole thing was that I was just giving my all, but it was over the top. So whatever that word is.
Can we ever
And
see you producing? Can we ever see you producing a an opera classic by any chance in the
I
future?
did gigs. I did gigs. My idea was to actually this book. I could see these little figures come to life, which is why I got their little legs and arms. I thought, wouldn't it be lovely one day to animate the story and really bring it alive to the children? That was my thought there. As far as the singing goes, I was doing gigs all over the place at different times. I never really wanted to pursue. It was more musical theatre, but I had to start with opera so that we understood all the vowels of the Italian vowels and so on, and be able to pronounce everything so clearly. Mm.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, Susanna, I'm so happy you came here on Global Book Network to talk to us about Tommy Meets the Moon. Where can people find the book? Where can people find you online?
Okay, so it's I've got a website and it's just beautifulsoul.me. So www.beautifulsoul.me, and you'll find the book is there. There's also a shop where they can purchase the book. Hmm. It's
That's
also on
awesome.
Amazon too.
Yes, it's on Amazon as well. You can check it out there. Tommy Meets the Moon.
Yes.
Susanna, thank you so much for joining me here on Global Book Network, and best of luck with the career. Definitely come back when you have your next book. Love to talk to you more about it.
Okay, I've got many books behind it all.
Awesome.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited. Well, thanks so much for joining us here as well on globalbooknetwork.tv. You can check out all the different interviews here on the website and on our YouTube channel at Global Book Network. I'm Zach Feldman. We'll see you next time.